New law passes to ban kids from social media.
Mark legislation heads to the U.S. House. This comes after the Senate passed a bill Tuesday to protect your children from dangerous content online.
A new law has just passed through the Senate, which will ban kids from social media. Watch to the end of the video to understand what are the implications of this new law that will ban kids from social media and restrict their access to various platforms and features on social media networks. This is pretty significant, so let's go ahead and jump right in to the video.
Our Brianna Hamblin joins us live with the details on this. Brianna, this is a big move for lawmakers to regulate these tech companies.
That's right, Rebecca. This is the first major effort by Congress in decades to hold tech companies accountable. This bill is called the Kids Online Safety Act. Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn was one of the lawmakers who introduced the bill. It would make companies take steps to prevent harm on online platforms used by minors, ensuring they default to the safest settings possible. The bill was pushed by parents of children. It would require social media platforms to mitigate content that promotes bullying, violence, eating disorders, substance abuse. It would also limit other users from communicating with minors and disable addictive product features like personalized algorithm recommendations. Senator Blackburn says this is a major step forward to protect children online.
A message that we're sending to big tech: kids are not your product. Kids are not your profit source, and we are going to protect them in the virtual space.
Now, as you guys can see, this appears to be a bipartisan effort between the Democrats and the Republicans. The Republicans have been pushing to do this for quite some time. So this is a massive step forward. You can see Chuck Schumer standing with this lady. And, so this is definitely a bipartisan effort by both the Senate, by both the Republicans and the Democrats in the Senate. And now this is going to be headed over to the House for them to vote on this. So it seems very likely this will end up passing ultimately. And this will be the first step towards barring children from social media. It has major implications. For one, this changes the way that the algorithm works. So on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, which is already banned in the US, and the complete ban will happen likely sometime next year. But platforms like TikTok, platforms like YouTube Shorts, this would restrict them from pushing content that would relate to what we like to call doom scrolling. Many of you guys know what doom scrolling is. You start watching one video and then you go through another video and you basically you're stuck in a loop where you can't leave, and it's like you're getting a constant dopamine rush from one video to another. And what it plays upon is our limited attention span. Our attention span has reduced significantly over the years. Gen Z has a lower attention span than all other generations, although we don't even know what the attention span for Gen Alpha actually is. It could be even lower than Gen Z, although it's hard to believe that. The typical attention span for Gen Z is actually around 15 seconds. Yeah, the average Gen Zer has roughly a 15 second attention span. So it's a result of social media, how social media has had a terrible effect on the brain. So we basically know that it's changing the way that our brains work. And we can see that it's had a nasty effect on Gen Z. And the sad truth is only going to get worse from here. There's actually a study that shows the impact of internet use on teens' brains. I talked about that in another video, but I'll go ahead and play the video again so that you guys can get an idea of how that actually works.
Study reveals internet usage's effect on a teen's brain. It includes neuroimaging showing disrupted signals between brain regions that are important for controlling attention and working memory. The findings are similar to a study by University of Michigan professor who says understanding the internet's impact on your brain is an important first step towards battling potential addiction.
If you know what the markers of vulnerability are, you can prevent an individual by intervening in the interim. You can prevent an individual from developing the full-blown addiction syndrome.
The Senate is working toward passing two bipartisan bills aimed at protecting kids online. One focuses on improving privacy. The second requires social media companies to provide better protections for minors. And that includes giving guardians more control and limiting certain features like autoplay.
So as you guys can see, that's what they were talking about. And now they have actually passed that bill. We just got word, I showed you the video. The Senate just passed that bill. It's headed to the House. and there are major implications. For example, like I said, autoplay, which will basically prevent them from going from one video to the next video to the next video. Doom scrolling. It's a very nasty automated doom scrolling. It's a very nasty thing that's going on right now on social media, and we just have to be consciously aware of it because we can see the effect that it had on Gen Z. Gen Z are a group of bad little muffins. 77% of Gen Z cannot serve in the U.S. military, guys. And that was findings from 2020. Back in 2020, the military released statistics that they found that 77% of Gen Zers could not serve in the U.S. military. And that was in 2020. And you know that things have only gotten worse since then. It has to be around 80 to 90% at this point. And that was people between the ages of 18 and 24, or 17 and 24. So, Gen Z is in pretty rough shape. They're not going to get any better. They're only going to get worse. They're only going to go full-blown hippie mode. So this is not going to really stop Gen Z. Many of them are already adults. Gen Z as a generation are pushing 30 in 3 years, or rather 2.5 years. Guys, we're midway through 2024. In 2.5 years, Gen Z as a generation will be 30 years old. They're going to be a bunch of hippies. All right, they're going to be stealing and squatting because they're living off their parents right now. And as soon as that gravy train runs out and really hard times arrive, these people are not. these people don't have the capacity to actually survive through hard times. All right, they can't even handle a full day of work. And that's not shaming them. That's being realistic. They're known for leaving halfway through the day. Like they'll just pick up and take off, and they won't tell anyone that they're leaving, and they'll just disappear. These are the types of people that are supposed to inherit the world. They've walked away. They've given up. All right. And, and then they're just really, really greedy. For example, they want to get paid without having to work. And they believe society should provide a UBI, a universal basic income. That's what they're calling a UBI is actually a UHI, universal high income, which Elon Musk has talked about that would be needed because of how automation would basically disrupt things. So what Gen Z is talking about is actually a universal high income, where they believe that food, shelter, clothing, cash assistance, that should all be provided. And then people should be able to work if they choose to and do meaningful work, which is an absolute joke. Absolute joke. And the funny thing about it is a lot of Gen Zers, even if you gave them $5,000 a month, they would still end up broke because they have no financial literacy. So they would take that money and they would basically go on a free-for-all with it, buying all kinds of things that they can't really afford, and end up in deep and continue to end up in deep financial debt. It's ridiculous. I mean, can you imagine though, like giving them $5,000 each, and they're living at home? They would burn that money out so quick. All right. And even if they wouldn't pay their rent, they would still end up destitute. It's unbelievable. But so it's good that we know that they're beginning to restrict social media because it really messed up Gen Z. And you can see that it's destroying parts that it's having terrible effects on different parts of the brains of young people.
White House task force recommended parents keep open communication with kids about social media, set expectations for what kids can watch and how long they can use devices, and really make sure they have the correct privacy settings on as well. We've got our crew in this morning to talk about this. And I'll be honest, I feel really badly for a lot of these younger generations who have been essentially the guinea pigs as we're just now understanding the detriment that it's having on younger generations' brains and psyches and all that stuff.
Well, we've talked a lot about this in our digital parenting series, and there's a lot of research out there about just what having the world at your fingertips can do for you. It's an amazing tool in a lot of ways, but also can have those detriments of, kind of short wiring your brain.
Something I just have to point out is just how young Gen X looks. Like you look at these people, and you're like, oh, these are Gen Xers, but they're older, but they're not old. Like Gen X is aging like fine wine, while Gen Z is aging like milk. It's unbelievable.
Connection of having everything right there when you want it. I know for us, we do try to limit our kids' screen time, but I kind of have a canary in the coal mine for us, which is when they're not on screens, what are they doing? Are they creative? Are they going outside? Are they playing together? And our kids, thankfully, are doing that. But you see the creep when you have the screens around. The good thing is, though, I've heard experts talk about neuroplasticity, that you can still rewire your brain if you've gotten
It's
wired
hard
for the
to do,
addiction.
though. That's easier
So
said than done.
it's not the end of the world, but you want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I know it's something, we had those discussions when our daughter was small, and we could limit the exposure. We had the parental controls where we could turn it off if we wanted to. But she's 18 now, so we don't have those, we don't have that, can't do that anymore. So we still have those conversations. But again, I think it's very important when they are.
It's too late. It's too late. They're bad muffins. 18. It's too late. That's what I said. Within 5 years, pretty much all Gen Zers are going to cross that 18-year mark. 5 years, all Gen Zers will have crossed that 18-year mark. It's already too late. It's already too late. This is done. All right. What's the future? The future is basically destitution. A lot of these Gen Zers grew up with social media. It gave them instant gratification, and that led to them believing that they deserve everything right now, which is the reason why they think they should graduate from high school, or leave high school. Some of them aren't even graduating, and then be handed the keys to their brand new house. Like this is the Price is Right. A lot of them are going to end up, stealing and squatting because they don't have the skill sets or the resilience to survive in this world or work hard for the things that they want, believing that hard times are something that they're immune, they should be immune to because life and everything. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. Guys, what do you think regarding all of this? A new law has been passed to ban kids from social media. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's going to work? Do you support it? Do you not support it? Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.